Hello, welcome to the program. My name is Alexander Kerry. The majority of Ukraine's networks of roads are in desperate need of repair. Vice Prime Minister Volodymyr Kistion said that repairing roads is a priority for the government, and more than 2,000 kilometers of roads are set to be repaired in the coming month. But how is this plan going? Joining us in the studio is Olena KryvorUchko, head of the state enterprise Ukrdorinvest, partly responsible for fixing the roads infrastructure. Hello, and thank you for coming. So, first question, more than 2,000 kilometers of roads are set to be repaired. Now, it's a lot, and it sounds a bit optimistic. What's your take on this?
Of course, it sounds a bit optimistic, but we need to be optimistic in our conditions, you know. And the planning budget for 2018 sets out some goals, and these goals, of course, are rather optimistic, but it's extreme financing, I think, for 2018 in the amount of more than 44 billion Ukrainian hryvnias. Of course, devil is in the details, as well known, but in terms of specific directions within the planned budgets, first of all, we need to maybe clarify the classification of roads in Ukraine to understand the priorities of the government and to understand the goals in road infrastructure and road sector. So basically, right now, we have three main categories of the roads. It's so-called primary roads or principal roads with a total length of 500, not 500, but 50,000 kilometers. And the priority within these roads is that Ukravtodor, like a state road agency, is in charge of these roads because, you know, it's the roads of national,
so we're talking
state
the main
importance.
Roads,
yes,
the main
it's
axes
main
of
highways and so on. And the second category is so-called secondary roads or roads of local importance with the total length of 120,000 kilometers, and currently still Ukravtodor is in charge of these roads as well. But in terms of decentralization, which concerns also the road sector, yes, starting from the early beginning of 2018, there's going to be the transfer of responsibilities for these roads to local, state and district administration. So basically they're going to be in charge of maintenance of these roads and will identify the needs of capital repair, rehabilitation and probably elements of new construction within these roads. And the third category is municipal roads, which are the roads within the communities, inhabited areas, and here the total responsibility for these roads is on the local authorities. And
you said yourself, devil is in the details. There are, if we're talking the differences between those categories of roads, there are also disparities between different regions. For example,
yeah,
when
sure.
So coming with this decentralization, will it really help fixing the roads if the responsibility of fixing these roads goes like from region which might be wealthier than the others? And in the end, will the roads be at the same standards? How to ensure they're going to stay at the same standards?
First of all, we will have proper financing. We hope that we will have proper financing, not just for these principal roads, but for the secondary roads. And in this term, we have a very good instrument for addressing all the needs, not just of primary principal roads, but as well as secondary. It's a special designated road fund. And in terms of this road fund, which will be aimed for assuring the accumulation of all excise fees, customs on oil products, as well as potential tolls from the roads which are under concession, yes. And this road fund will be applicable starting from the 2018. And it means that it will have this targeted meaning. It will be designated to the needs of roads, and the percentage of within the division, yes, of principal roads and secondary roads will be as follows: 60% of the means within the road funds will be addressed to principal roads. 35% will be addressed to the secondary roads, which will be under responsibility of local administrations, and 5% will be addressed to the road safety improvement on all the roads existing. So basically, the issue of responsibility of addressing the needs of local communities, of urgent reaction of local communities for the problems which are occurring on the roads, I think it's a good idea, and we will see how it works in deal.
But if we're talking about funds here, in 2016, nearly $800 million were allocated for road repairs in the budget, and it was a record among funding. So, would you say that since 2016, so since it has been allocated, it has been used effectively, or are there any improvement in that matter?
Of course, there are some improvements, but I cannot be sure that it's going to be a proper usage of the resources elsewhere, because, you know, there are sometimes cases of misusage and so on. But basically, what is the main strategy, long-term strategy for Ukravtodor, for government itself, in terms of road infrastructure? The main goal is to ensure proper control. Regardless of the fact who is responsible for these roads, the main point is control, independent control. And here, in this case, we have very good sample from the projects which are financed by international financial organizations such as World Bank, EBRD, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and EIB, European Investment Bank. And here we have specific rules for contracts implementation. And this is specific requirement from these IFIs that all the contracts which are implemented through the loan proceeds to be implemented following the FIDI contract conditions. What does it mean? So
now, because it actually brings me to my next question, which I think what you might explain now is how to ensure this transparency between contractors in this market, because it's the matter here.
I think the main issue which may allow to ensure this proper control is to have third independent party. And here, within FIDI contract conditions, which are being implemented throughout in Western Europe and under all projects in all countries which are financed by IFI, is to use third party as a consultancy service, independent engineer who provides the services of technical supervision of the works. What does it mean? Prior to signing the contract with the contractor, the employer signs the contract with the engineers team, which have been selected through the international competitive bidding procedures, which composed of rather qualified specialist engineers.
From Ukraine or from other countries?
No, it's from other countries mainly. So taking into account the fact that all of these procedures are going through international competitive bidding and requirements are rather high in terms of experience available, in terms of qualification and so on, usually, and I would say mostly, only international consultancy companies win, but it gives some bonuses, it gives some advantages in terms of sharing these qualifications, sharing this knowledge with our local staff and local engineers. And you know, the level of local engineers after this close cooperation with international experts may allow even for our experts for further projects. Maybe there may be leading party already in this triangle, I would say, between the employer, the contractor, and the supervision engineer. Because the peculiarity of this contract is that nothing can be paid without approval, certified approval of the engineer under this contract. And the main responsibility to represent the employer on the contracts it is engineers' responsibility.
So in the end, it comes through this structure and this implementation of this structure.
And the main point that within this IFI finance contract, after the engineer certifies all the works and payment documents are being produced, the payment goes not from the employer Ukravtodor, but from the IFIs. directly to the accounts of the contractor.
Through this independent structure.
It may avoid the risk of so-called misuse or corruption risk.
Thank you very much for this interview. It was a pleasure to have you in the studio. Joining us in the studio was Olena KryvorUchko, head of the state enterprise Ukrdorinvest, partly responsible for fixing the road infrastructure. Thank you for watching UATV. Stay tuned for the rest of the program.